Oh, what the f***?
Celebrated French writer de Balzac once said that behind every great fortune lies a great crime. I didn't know he said that, I just remember Chris Rock misquoting it once. The point is, it's very easy to look at plutocrats like Gina Reinhardt, Rupert Murdoch, Max Mofo, who's clearly gotten away with public mutilation, and come to that conclusion. But asterisk, behind fairly impressive fortunes, like many dumb little annoying crimes perpetrated by dumb little annoying people, aka the Italian stallion, or Shetland pony rather, Giovanni Dominique Barilaro. Now you might be thinking, oh no, he's in a bath naked. Can't you make something that isn't crude so I can show my mum? Don't you worry, we're not here to talk about my big fat wog cock. We're here to talk about another big fat wog cock. Now that we're comfortable, John Barilaro is a man whose expediency seeps right down to his very genetics, as not only do his political convictions turn on a dime, but so does his ethnicity. Proud Italian when he thinks he can score pity points, rinky-dink Johnny from the bush when he thinks he can score a national seat. Willing to change his entire identity, right down to his name. Surely distressing his inner child who would wonder,
Hey, Giovanni, what's the matter? You're not talking with your accent no more.
Bruzza mia!
he's a con man to the core, powered by spaghetti. As such, I'll be referring to him from now on as Giovanni. And not just because that's his name, but also because he's just such a Giovanni. Plus it pisses him off. And I really like the thought of that man being upset.
Oh, what the f***? Another video? Bruz, as if the joke isn't old already.
No, wait, I've got new material for you. You ready? Your response to the Berejiklian bushfires. Giovanni's actions during the bushfires were like all his other actions in life. Stupid as f***. And very funny. Like the rest of us, he didn't know exactly what to do, but knew that the first step was to get mad at the people who had been attempting to warn him about the fires for the last decade.
Oh, but Bruz, I'm a visual learner. They should have turned what was gonna happen into a movie, then I would have paid attention.
He blamed the national parks. One of the men most responsible on Earth for the Black Summer bushfires, blaming the people least responsible for it, claiming that they were ideologically opposed to hazard reduction burns.
Ideologically don't like the concept of hazard reduction, but we give them the responsibility.
No, you ball of grease. The reason they're not doing hazard reduction burns is because you cut their funding by 27%. They've been begging, specifically Fat Lips here, for the funds so that they could do the hazard reduction burns. But you cut the number of rangers by 100. And you cut the number of people who make the plans for hazard reduction burns from 36 under Labor to 10 under the Coalition. Bruz, you're into cooking.
Today I'm going to do something simple, a veal scallopino.
Of course he eats veal.
Yeah, it's tasty.
What you did to the National Parks and Wildlife Service is like not adding water to minestrone and saying,
This minestrone is ideologically opposed to being a soup.
I mean, it's obvious when you look at Giovanni's decisions and comments that he's a moron, but I at least thought he'd be smart enough to come up with an excuse that is a little better than,
Bruz, it's not the government's fault, it's the, government's fault. You're in charge of the national parks, you idiot.
Anyway, look at this.
Trust me, it'll be funny later.
John, like the rest of us, remembers the bushfires as a time of great anguish as he was forced to take time out of his London holiday to moralise to all the city slickers in Sydney. Don't worry though, he didn't bother coming home to do it. He still continued on with his holiday to say,
You city slickers in Madrid don't understand the struggle of us fed income bush battlers like myself.
Oh, yeah, interesting. And where are you?
Big Ben Stooge! Boom!
Claiming that he's battling for the bush What part of sitting on your fat, worthless ass in merry old England while the bush was burning, blaming the people who were putting out those fires that you practically lit, screams battling for the bush to you?
Cause bros, I make the battles and then I fight them. Understand?
Looks like the Julio-Claudians weren't wiped out after all, were they? It's just they got so inbred that the only musical instrument they can play is that big horn at Canberra Raiders matches. If you're battling for the bush, John, then I'm protecting the moon from having an atmosphere. And every night it looks down and thanks just me.
I'd read him a bedtime story too if he wasn't so far away.
Anyway, let's look at water theft. Giovanni promised a royal commission into water corruption. Then when it came to crunch time, voted against it. There's only one possible explanation for that. He switched heads with Jennifer Coolidge and no one noticed. Seriously though, I think he's corrupt. Shooters and Fishers legend Helen Dalton asked why he so blatantly broke his promise. All he had to do was vote yes. Man of discipline, Giovanni, responded with, and this is true, this is the actual message he sent.
Helen, you are disgusting human.
I told you he was a dumb f***. It looks like a caveman wrote that tweet.
Helen, you are disgusting human.
He calls himself Pork Barilaro. He wears his corruption as a badge of honor. Which you got to admit. I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to appreciate that set of photos. I'm not making this up. He was the spaghetti eating champion for 25 years, and yet he gets offended when I point out he's Italian.
Mario Leverbose.
Ladies and gentlemen of New South Wales, I present to you your Deputy Premier.
Oh, that's tasty.
Make it a success story.
Obviously, he's trying to spin his pork barreling as John Barilaro, aka Greasy Ned Kelly, stealing from the rich and giving to the battlers of the bush so the battlers of the bush can have what they desire most. Fish and chip shops.
Do you have calamari?
What's Capitani?
Oh, he pork barrels all right. He porks harder than your pork gets looking at Judith McGrath from All Saints.
Now that's hard.
In case you're wondering what pork barreling is, it's simply giving government money to seats that don't need it. And the problem with Giovanni is he only gives it to his friends, not even to electorates. For example, he announced a government fund called the Go Equity Fund, aimed at investing in small businesses in the bush. And to help him decide where to invest, he got a private equity fund called ROC Partners to help pitch in. Always a good start, when a politician privatises even their ability to make decisions. What confidence the people of Monero must have in their member when even he thinks the free market can do a better job than him, but still wants our checks to not do it. Have a look at who ROC and Giovanni, wink, decided to invest in. Australia's Oyster Coast. I wonder what they produce. Coasts? Nup, oysters. Oh, sorry boys. Now why would Barilaro and ROC decide to invest $3.3 million into a company that loses money when there were perfectly good smaller oyster farms running at a profit? Could it have anything to do with the fact that Australia's Oyster Coast is chaired by David Trebek, ex-director of the Liberal Party's policy unit and member of HR Nichols Society? A think tank created by Peter Costello. Surely a man who looks like a mafia don wouldn't knowingly hand out millions of taxpayer dollars to a failing oyster farm just because his mate ran it? Gifting that enterprise taxpayer money would be shameless. Almost as shameless as me asking you to like this video, which to put a new twist on an old classic.
Come on, I'm liking it.
Just to be sure though, New South Wales Parliament asked him over and over, did you give tax money to Australia's Oyster Coast because your friend ran it? To which he repeatedly said,
It wasn't me. I didn't have shit to do with it.
Or words to that effect. 9 times over. Under oath. I think you can see where this is going. Labor got the documents, and would you look at that? Barilaro personally signed off on the deal. New South Wales Labor then said, maybe you should step down for at least being, you know,
slimier than me.
Yay! You know what he said?
But sir, it was an accident. I didn't mean to do it, bros.
And that was that. Not only did he use the public's money to prop up a friend's failing business, he perjured himself.
9 times over. You usually go to jail for committing perjury once. Let that sink in, and then do what your mum does when she hears something that she doesn't like on the news, which is, "Oh." Then get ready for the second whammy that makes your mum say, "Oh no, that's horrible." Because also $3.3 million was given to a beef company that just 10 months earlier ROC partners bought a majority stake in? Ha. Do you get it? No? Okay, let me make this as simple as possible. ROC partners advised that the New South Wales government give your money to ROC partners. When Labor found out about this, they tried to force Giovanni to refer the deals to an independent pricing and regulatory tribunal that would obviously find what you would assume on hearing that is blatant corruption. And wouldn't you guess? Giovanni said what he says whenever someone makes a plausible accusation of corruption perpetrated by him. Oof. Anyway, Labor introduced an order to call for Giovanni's Go equity documents to be released. Libs unsurprisingly voted not to show those documents. It only passed because of the crossbench, meaning basically only the New South Wales government voted against the New South Wales government being properly scrutinised. Another time, Mr. Barilaro awarded this man called Andrew Stoner. Oh, Bruz. Stoner. Do you think he is one? See for yourself, bro. Definitely a real photo. He was given 98 grand of your money for cutting grass. Didn't know it cost that much. Then I wonder what makes Andrew Stoner so special. Maybe it's that Andrew Stoner is the former leader of the Nationals, and Super Barilaro Bruz owes his entire political career to Andrew Stoner. So just remember, when Giovanni proudly touts the nickname Pork Barilaro, he's not pork barreling for you. Unless your name is Andrew Stoner, in which case you're probably watching this saying, "Mate, you just said he is, idiot." Sometimes he throws his constituency a bone. Barilaro and New South Wales Arts Minister Don Harwin. Jesus, I wonder what he does in a day. Anyone could make that. It sucks. They had a $47 million arts grant program to dole out. Conveniently, as always, just before an election. Guess how much of that 47 million went to coalition seats? 44 million. Jesus. Who says the coalition doesn't support the arts, eh? Guess how much went to Labor seats? $4 grand. 4,000 out of 47 million. Surely if this was Iraq, even the Kurds would have gotten a bigger slice. Labor got 0.0085% of the money. Out of every $11,750 allocated, Labor seats got $1. The Nationals actually think the point of being in government is to rort funds, don't they? This is just prototype sports rorts. Instead of wearing helmets, they're wearing berets. On the plus side, it did force Barilaro to exercise his decision-making muscles. If only it was his actual muscles he exercised. He pushed for the funding of 8 projects that he was explicitly told not to fund, as heaven forbid Labor got more than 1 in every $11,750. Barilaro's own seat, Monero, marginal seat, received nearly 1,000 times more funding than all the Labor seats combined. If that wasn't enough, it just came out that he personally approved $4 million in council grants for his own electorate. Not to draw attention to his Italian heritage, because I know he hates that, but that's a spicy meatball. In fact, he looks a bit like a meatball, doesn't he?
5-star pork mince sturge.
And now we get to my pet peeve. Very peculiar, I know, as barely anyone in the press seems to care that Mr. Barilaro is responsible for trashing a national treasure that is easily as iconic as Uluru, the Great Barrier Reef, Gosford, Kosciuszko National Park, degrading tens of thousands of hectares of wilderness, pushing 27 native species to the brink of extinction, and he did it for like 10 grand. Nice to know he values a second-hand Kia so highly. But how's he doing all this? Well, shut up, bozo, and I'll tell you. He championed the Kosciuszko Wild Horse Heritage Bill. If he's stupid enough to pass that, he'd be stupid enough to pass a bill preserving the lice on his head. Brumbies are basically majestic rabbits. They should be murdered as quickly and inhumanely as possible. Oh no, wait, sorry, I'm thinking of people from Newtown. The point is, our alpine ecosystems haven't evolved to accommodate hoofed animals. The topsoil in this region is extremely delicate, and when it's dug up, it's permanently degraded. As a result, due to them destroying land, trampling animals that live in the grass, fouling up the water, there are dozens of native species going extinct. Scientists and national parks proposed a cull. Giovanni, the greasy little scrotum, refused. It's a decision so stupid that New South Wales became a global laughingstock, which we completely deserve, as we elected a deputy premier whose highest qualification is a Cert 4 in housing that isn't even from a TAFE. Think about that. He couldn't graduate TAFE, an institution where if you fail, they let you look at the answers and redo the test immediately. A guy that couldn't even do that is in charge of some of the most delicate ecosystems on Earth that not even scientists properly understand.
Yeah, but I understand something that they don't. How'd they get $10,000?
All this carnage for what? To allow a bunch of inbred hillbillies to tie a frightened mother up to a tree, wait for her to give birth, steal the baby, and leave her there to starve to death. That's preserving the dignity of this quote-unquote cultural icon, is it, Giovanni? Couldn't be that you got 10 grand in donations and then pretended to care about the cultural significance of a vermin that is destroying the most culturally significant national park to this nation's heritage. All for the price of a pool table. You are perfectly happy to commit ecocide just to go, yeah, shot. Want to play again? Nah. That's what he's willing to sacrifice 27 species for. As usual, Labor demanded an investigation and that the bill be suspended until a conflict of interest was cleared, but no. Good old moderate Gladys Berejiklian declared that the accusations were grubby, and that even questioning the bill was inappropriate, and that the bill was based on facts and community views. That's odd because the bill made New South Wales a global laughingstock amongst scientists. Everyone at National Park supported the cull. I didn't know a donor's opinion was fact, and that he represented the community view alone.
Well, now you do. If I could pass a bill protecting myself as a cultural icon, I would. Gladys, can I be a protected species? Oh, for the last time, Jean, no. Oh, but Mies, you look so pretty today.
So in summary, can everyone stop asking me what happened to Yilmaz? Clearly he's the deputy premier now. No, wait, that's unfair. Yilmaz at least graduated TAFE. I think with the evidence provided so far, it's been pretty well established that the constituency Barilaro truly represents as Deputy Premier of New South Wales is not New South Wales. Nor is it the bush, no. Giovanni represents the electorate of Giovanni. And although he's wide enough to be an electorate, I really don't think even he needs all the resources he's personally consuming. Take for instance when the New South Wales government decided it was time to draft up laws regulating digital businesses like Airbnb and stays. Barilaro couldn't stick his pudgy little hand up quick enough.
Pick memes, please.
Why was Barilaro all of a sudden interested in this industry? Because it pertained to the oh-so-important seat of Giovanni. 4 months prior to becoming regional tourism minister, he bought not just a mansion, but an estate. Equipped with a mineral pool, tennis court, boat shed, lake, 7 bedrooms, which he decided to let out via Airbnb and stays. Didn't occur to him once to register an Airbnb'd estate as a potential conflict of interest when shaping the laws surrounding Airbnbs and stays. He and his cronies arguing,
Bruz, the estate only makes around 160k a year.
yeah, just to be 2.5 times the salary of the average Aussie in just one of the investments that he owns, that's all.
Yeah, but Khaz, it's still currently in the negative, so it's not an asset. Haven't you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Bruz?
No.
Me either, Stooge.
They actually argued that. As well as,
Bruz, what possible conflict of interest is there in me owning an extremely expensive property that I just admitted I want to maximize the value on as quickly as possible?
he's declaring his conflict of interest in his own argument as to why he doesn't have a conflict of interest. What repercussions were there for this blatant display of corruption and regulatory tailoring made to fit John Barilaro's very specific waist? Nothing. Still did a job, still got to shape the laws, Just another chapter in a long, distinguished career of rorting the system as much as he possibly can for the benefit of no one but La Familia. His view of governing exactly what it was in ancient Rome. No vision for improving the state, no skills to govern, just a fat, decadent con man that by the grace of the gods was put in his position to ransack the empire for all it's worth. And yet he's offended by being portrayed as an Italian stereotype. Well, Giovanni, if you find that comparison deeply offensive, same offer as to all your other discrepancies. Show me the evidence that you're not a stereotype. I'll stop. Show me how a man on a state minister's salary could afford an estate as not even your first house, your second house. A second house that's so big it has a second and third house on it. Like Mars's 2 moons that just got attracted into its gravitational pull. And might I just say, those spare houses are real nice, Giovanni. Yeah, I'm talking directly to you now. Because as you've probably gathered, or haven't because you're that dumb, I'm filming at your estate. And I want you to be the first to know that I f***ed in both your guest houses. What is it your mate Ben Fordham always says? Politics is a dirty game. Hey, Barra? Even with my track record of what I've done in your houses, still nowhere near as dirty as what you've done to get them. Surely you should know that you make a lot of enemies in politics. Would have thought you'd at least check who's booking your houses, as someone might want to have a little snoop. Remember when you chucked a tanty when the Arts Minister Don Harwin broke lockdown rules and visited his holiday house, and then weeks later you did exactly the same thing and said,
No, but mine's essential. I need to feed the chooks and mow the lawn. I'm a farmer.
You know, for a long time I thought you were lying you had chickens. This place is so big they're hard to find. We checked the butler's pantry, the mineral pool, your private f***ing lake that you ostensibly afforded on a public servant's salary. How did you afford to run this place at a loss, John?
Ah, there they are. Nice breed.
We paid the obscenely lavish amount of money he charges to stay here, so if you could help us out by signing up to Patreon, that'd be great, because this hurt. I mean, there's a $750 cleanup bill to give you an idea. Anyone would think someone shaped the laws to legalise that level of extortion. But don't worry, I'll make sure I get my money's worth. Oops. Seeing as we're here though, I thought we'd give everyone a nice tour of this beautiful maison, just so everyone can really appreciate how spacious this place is and how much stuff Giovanni must have done that we don't even know about to earn it. And, this is a little bonus, I thought we'd be placing some Super Mario Brothers paraphernalia around the house at points that really tick us off. So Giovanni, while you're picking these up and you're pissed that they're there, that's how I feel that you own this house in the first place. You might be wondering, oh my God, Bruz, how can I do this? Is this even legal? Don't worry, Johnny B. I got permission to film here for my birthday, for my socials. And can I just say, Giovanni, this is the best present I've ever received. Make sure you press like, subscribe, and chuck us a couple of bucks on Patreon. What a birthday! Bruz, what do you think of the decoration that I made for you up there? This is how much Barilaro loves Gladys Berejiklian. Tell you what does get you going in the morning though. A Bruz Expressies. I think we're going to get him going in the morning. My impression of John Barilaro going down the stairs. Let's go! Whee! Whoa, 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 whoa. Hashtag Super Barilaro, Bruz. Get it trending. Also, make sure you get your Super Barilaro, Bruz shirt available at friendlyjordies.com. But for now, Bruz,
Thanks so much for watching my show. Like, subscribe, and share. Woohoo!
and finally, we're going to put the big Mario in the big bed. Purely because I'm imagining that Super Barilaro Bruz will wake up one morning only to discover